So thanks everyone for coming along today. It's great to have you all here. So some introductions first of all. I'm Kat. I'm one of the senior client success managers here at Selligence. I've been with the company for about 18 months and I have a background within recruitment myself. And joining me again today is Jordan. George, you want to go on ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name's Jordan. I'm a customer success manager here in the Tampa branch, in the Tampa office in the US side. I started with Selligence back in November of last year. Have, quite a bit of customer success experience. Excited to be joining Kat today on this webinar.
Absolutely. So for anyone that doesn't know, Talentic is a market intelligence platform built for recruitment. So we provide you the insights and reason to call ahead of your competitors. So what businesses are going to be hiring before they do, and contact details for those individuals from both a candidate and a hiring manager basis that you can reach out to. So again, it's great to have you all here and hopefully we can give you some value and some great takeaways from today. Today, we're going to be talking about the topic of hiring graduates, why we do it and best practice. I think, George, we can agree that it's definitely a trend that we're seeing more and more at the moment within the agencies that we speak to every day, particularly, I think, with the effects of COVID and the candidate shortage that just doesn't seem to be slowing down.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of my clients have hired new grads, which has been beneficial for me because getting them to use Talent Ticker has been quite easy and it's helped them out tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can all agree that hiring grads is a good idea. So today we're going to delve a little bit further into why. So we're going to be covering why you should be hiring new grads, best practice for attracting and retaining them, traits to look for when you're hiring these people, mistakes to avoid in the hiring process, and then how to really get them off the ground and hit the ground running. So why should we hire grads? I mean, experience obviously is hard to find and the costs are higher. Jord, again, I think we can agree it's tough to find experienced recruiters out there at the moment that want to make a move.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that with recruitment agencies, a lot of the recruiters that have been with those companies tend to stay. Just because they know their clients, they've been successful. So for them to kind of jump ship to start a new opportunity is a little bit rare. So hiring again grads is always going to be beneficial because a lot of folks coming out of college are looking for jobs, and coming into the recruitment space seems to be very, I guess, exciting for them. I've noticed that a lot of my clients have hired new individuals that have come out of school, which has been great for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, touching on, I suppose, the effects of COVID and the pandemic, there's a lot of repeat business coming in. So if you do have an experienced recruiter and they are getting a lot of repeat business from their clients, they're smashing their targets and so on, it almost doesn't make financial sense for them to make a move when the market is where it is. So, unless you're going to make an overly attractive offer in terms of salary and package to get their attention, can you really afford to maintain that in the longer term? So blank canvas. I think this comes up the most for me when I'm speaking to my clients when they're taking on grads. Hiring someone with no prior experience in the industry means that they're coming in without their own predefined way of working, and you can really mold them into what you want them to be. I've seen it firsthand, with some of the clients of ours actually that are taking on experienced staff and having real difficulty then trying to fit this person who is already so set in their ways into this new business with, completely different processes.
Absolutely, and I would say that at least here in the U.S., it seems to be a trend with any industry and any company that you speak with that are hiring, junior employees usually are coming out of school because of this reason, wanting to basically start with a blank canvas with somebody that doesn't really have a lot of experience with what they're doing. So being able to kind of show them the way, teach them how your business is ran and how you would like for them to do things, it kind of expedites the process to getting them to that next step in that career.
Yeah, completely agree. You almost teach them habits early on. Once you've embedded, yourself into their way of working day to day, they're never going to know any different if that's what they've been taught from the beginning.
Absolutely.
Tech savvy. I guess it's easy to get complacent, isn't it, and stick to old tools, old habits. Recruitment has been around for a very long time, but the industry's moving quickly. There's new tools popping up all the time, such as Talent Ticker, that delivers you daily leads, automates outreach, identifies opportunities, and helps you hire candidates faster. Again, someone new coming into the business, I suppose, is going to be more open, do you think, to learning those tools than someone that's quite stuck in their ways?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as far as the clients that I speak with the new grads that are coming on board, more open to asking questions, figuring out why things are, working the way they do, or why they're not working the way they are, instead of just getting onto the platform, saying, okay, well, this doesn't work how I usually use other platforms, so I'm just gonna, put it to the side. It's always great to work with folks coming out of school because they're just a little bit more tech savvy. They're a little bit more curious, and they understand that technology is always ever changing, so everything's not going to be perfect, which is beneficial for me when I work with them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the fresh perspective then that they're bringing into the business as well. I think anyone new that you bring into the company is going to bring fresh ideas into the team, even at that grad level. I always think you can't read the label from inside the jar. So again, bringing someone new into the business is going to have all of those new ideas. And even though, we're not a recruitment agency, we've hired grads into sales, we've hired grads into CS, and they've brought so many new ideas. They've looked at what we're doing already and suggested, why are we doing it like this when we could be doing it like this? And, some of these ideas have genuinely improved the way that we're doing things within our department.
Sure, sure. I mean, I think that having a fresh perspective with new grads definitely helps the company excel, because as we know, with technology, it's always ever changing. With processes, you can always make things better. So to have somebody come in new and say, hey, I think that maybe this would be a better way of doing this. It's always good to bring those thoughts in with somebody that has really no canvas. They have no experience. So hearing those ideas is helpful for me, especially when I'm managing a team.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you're almost kicking yourself, aren't you? Because you've been doing it a certain way for like such a long period of time, and then someone new comes in and they're like, why are we doing like that when we could do it like this? And yeah, it's just mad that you didn't think about that to begin with, but all about that fresh perspective. So now we know why we would hire them, but how are we going to find them? So tips for hiring grads. So first of all, getting social. George, why do you think that getting social is important?
I think it's important because you get to know that individual on a personal level as well as on a business level. With being able to go out to job fairs and career fairs, you're not necessarily bringing them into the office. You're just kind of getting to know them, starting the conversation, and then seeing exactly what their drive is and what they're motivated by, and then that will help you make your decision with getting somebody to get hired.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about meeting them where they are, isn't it?
Sure.
Thinking outside the box in terms of how you're going to meet these people. And building that strong employer brand as well. What I suppose are your current and former employees saying about you on Glassdoor? Like, George, before you applied to Selligence, would you have checked this out on Glassdoor?
I when I applied to Selligence after the first interview, I did check Selligence out on Glassdoor, and I looked at the reviews and I saw great things about the company, and of course going through the interview process was just it just solidified what those comments were, because I feel that sometimes you get on Glassdoor and the comments are not matching with what the interviewers are saying. So being able to get on an interview and also see what the comments are, and for that to align really helped me make my decision.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got a good employer brand, if your office is a fun place to work, if people enjoy working with you, then you should absolutely be, getting that on social media, building up that brand, building up that Glassdoor to shout about that, because it's a good thing. And I guess also considering what benefits that you offer your existing team. And I'm not talking about fruit bowls and pajama Fridays, but if you've got great career development opportunities within your business, training to support self-development, competitive salary package, etc. If your employees know that they're looked after, then they're going to value your business and they're going to spread the word to others as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that there are a lot of companies that have the opportunity to provide benefits that are, very low cost, such as like a mentorship program, which Selligence has, right? That's something that really attracted me was I've worked for a couple of companies, and this is the first company that, said, hey, we have a mentorship program where, we can link you up with an executive and they can help you out with, any personal or business struggles that you're having, or just give you some insight. Now, for the company, that's something that they don't have to really pay for, but it means a lot to me as the employee. So things like that really help make my decision. I'm sure a lot of other individuals' decisions when coming onto a new company, especially if they have 3 or 4 interviews with different companies. That's something that may take you across the line to be the one that's going to be hiring that person.
Do you know, that is such a good point because, as you said, it's something that's not really costing this business anything. It doesn't mean that you need to necessarily offer huge bonuses, although obviously that's always great. But how can you personalize this person's journey and help them reach their goals, whatever those goals might be? If you understand this person, their learning styles, how they like to be managed, and where they actually want to go in the future in terms of what they want from their next role and where they see themselves in the next 1, 3, and 5 years, and you've got like a mentorship plan, you've got training, etc., in place to help them get there, they're going to value that because you're
Absolutely.
almost putting them first and helping them on their own personal journey, as well as not just, thinking about the business and what you want from them.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, too, Kat, we have to remember that all of those things is, going to impact the company. Everything that you do
Yeah.
for that employee is going to, at the end of the day, impact the company overall.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had our tips for attracting and retaining new grads. So now, what traits do we need to look for when hiring? We've got a great little meme on here as well. I suppose the age old, you can't get a job without experience, but you need a job to get experience. We can't be looking for sales experience, etc., within these grads because they're not necessarily going to have it. So, what, I guess, soft skills do you think would be really important when looking to hire a new grad for your business?
I'd say somebody that's really motivated, and that's not afraid of change. I know that with startup companies, or even just companies as a whole, companies tend to change a lot of their ways of doing things, whether it's a merger and acquisition that's coming into play, or just trying to figure things out. Start as a startup company. So being able to hire somebody that is open to change and willing to have a great attitude during that process and just being motivated, I feel is extremely valuable when it comes to hiring somebody new. I think that also life experience as well. Asking them what's the I guess the best thing that you've done in your career, or the best thing that you feel like you've done in life. Understanding where they're at and where they want to go is also going to be helpful when you're looking to hire somebody new.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that's spot on. Open to trying new things again is a big one. As I kind of said earlier, I guess recruitment's been around for a long time, and you do see some businesses that are almost stuck in their ways in terms of how they want to do things, and then you see others that are just moving so fast, like Selligence, for example. On a every quarterly basis, our business has almost completely changed, and someone that's open to trying new system, trying new processes is going to be a really good trait to have within the team, and someone that's not scared to fail as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Somebody that has grit, somebody that's
Yeah.
willing to get down and dirty and do whatever it needs to, whatever needs to happen to get the job done. And is willing to do that, I think is also a valuable trait to have or skill.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I suppose we all know how tough recruitment can be. Someone that is patient, knowing that that job's not necessarily going to get filled within the first week. Someone that's organized and can keep track of all the different roles that they might have on at the moment and where they are with everything. All of those skills are going to play really well into their success, I think, as a recruiter in the future.
Absolutely.
So, what mistakes should we be avoiding in the hiring process? I mean, strict work arrangements is definitely something that comes up a lot. George, what's your thoughts on strict work arrangements?
Yeah, I think that nowadays in 2022, are we in? Yes, 2022. I think that with just being able to have more flexibility with having like a work from home type of schedule, a hybrid schedule definitely helps with keeping somebody engaged, coming into the office every day, especially if there's quite a bit of a commute, maybe 20 to 35 minutes, it gets very cumbersome to have to wake up and take that drive. So being able to break out your day, have a hybrid schedule is definitely very helpful for me at least, and I know that some of the team that I manage as well. So definitely having some flexibility with that, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we all know recruiters that, will use their evenings on the sofa as a great time to start looking for candidates and so on. Recruiters generally do end up working longer hours than a lot of other positions. And I think historically it was always something that was quite regimented and it was always done in the office. But, the last 2 years, if anything, has demonstrated that recruitment absolutely can be done from home. And a lot of businesses now are making a move to offering, supporting a work-life balance and offering that flexibility. So it may put, I guess, a business's competitors ahead of them in the hunt for the best talent if you're not going to be doing the same. As you kind of touched on earlier, I guess it's another free benefit, isn't it, that you could offer to someone as a business?
Absolutely. Yep, that's another one too. Yep, exactly.
And cash versus development, which is also something, that we touched on earlier. I think personally that development and progression opportunities are going to be top of a grad's mind, outside of the obvious, salary and commission. But what opportunities can you provide as a business to help somebody learn and help someone grow, and help them, I guess, land on their feet and learn quickly?
Right. I mean, of course, money is very important in this day and age. However, money comes and goes, right? I think that with development, that's something that you will take on for the rest of your life. And being able to work for a company that can provide you with that development is definitely going to be a lot more valuable in the long run than just, getting paid. So cash first development definitely is something that I looked into, especially when looking at other companies, when, hiring for other companies, or even for myself as well. It's like, what other benefits do you offer just money?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a business that invests in you, isn't it? And they obviously want you to succeed because they're providing you these opportunities for you to grow in your own career, whether you want to be a manager in the future or whether you want to change roles completely. But yeah, them listening, I suppose, to where you want to develop and helping you get there. I know that is something that I would value massively within a business and something that I really value about working with Selligence.
Likewise.
And old ways of hiring. Again, something that I guess you touched on earlier today. It's all about meeting them where they are, but also making the experience personal. I think, this if this is somebody's first real job, I think it's quite important that you choose somewhere that you want to stay. Like landing in the wrong company quite early on and switching can also damage your CV quite early on because it makes you look like a job hopper. When actually that position just wasn't right for you. So I think if you're going to get in front of somebody and have a real conversation with them, it's going to help them get a real feel for your business and make them feel more secure that they are making that right decision.
Yes, I can completely agree. And I would say also on the other side of that, the way that I think about this is, every company that I've worked for in the past has just always been, this is pre-COVID. You come into the office, you walk in, everybody's looking at you as you're getting interviewed. You walk into an office, you do your interview, and then when you're walking out, everybody's looking at you. There was one company that I worked for that had a different way of hiring, which was pretty cool in my eyes. And they basically said, "Hey, I'll meet you at a brewery, and we'll do the interview there." So again, you're able to be more of yourself because you're not feeling the pressure of coming into an office. Everybody's looking at you. You're competing with other individuals that are being interviewed. You're kind of going into a safer place, or a place that you can be a little bit more yourself, which at the end of the day would also help the company as well, because the hiring manager can see who you are outside of work, which helps make their decision at the end of the day. So I feel that with this particular bullet point, to try different ways of hiring, whether it's at a brewery or whether it's at a coffee shop or even just a bench on the park, I think that would be something that could definitely help hiring managers make their decision when interviewing people.
Oh my God, I love that idea. That's really nice. As you said, it can almost make you feel less of a number, I suppose. There's nothing worse than going for an interview and you can see everyone else all queued up and they're also interviewing for the same job. Everyone looks anxious, everyone else in the office is staring at you. But yeah, if you can go for a coffee or yeah, a brewery and sit there over a pint and have an interview, you can just feel a little bit more yourself. And I think they're probably more like more likely to see you, in your own comfort zone and actually being more yourself, than you would be preparing your answers and going into that kind of strictly set interview.
Yep, absolutely. And it also separates, that company from the other companies that you're interviewing with, where they'll remember, hey, I remember, this company, they took me out to a coffee or in a park. That was a lot different than these other companies. So it kind of separates yourself from the competition.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start doing all our interviews over a pint.
Hey, I like that. That's nice.
And then finally, experience. So again, focusing on the soft skills that they possess. So as we touched on earlier, they simply won't have the direct sales or recruitment experience, so we can't ask for that. But asking about their soft skills, paying attention to how they describe themselves, their personal experiences was a great one, as you mentioned earlier, and how they present themselves in an interview. Perhaps also how they pick themselves up when they're being demotivated and so on.
Yeah, I like to ask when I interview candidates, what kind of adversity did they go through? Like what was their kind of rock bottom in their life, and how did they get over that, and how did they overcome that? That's always a good question that I like to ask, simply because again it shows what kind of grit do they have and what are they willing to do to kind of get themselves out of that hole that they're in. So outside of experience, it's a lot of that personal experience for themselves that I like to kind of dive into when I'm doing my interviews.
I like that question a lot because that really digs into, how they motivate themselves and again, how they handle themselves when things are going badly, which we all know recruitment can very easily. Um, and I suppose another good one to ask is, to make sure that they're a good company fit. What do they expect from their future workplace? What are they expecting to walk into? What do they feel that they need from you in terms of development, to make sure that the company fit is right for them?
Yeah.
So, how then to get new grads off the ground? So, give them access to the best tools and make it easy, I guess, to access the information that they need. Bit of shameless self promotion again, but a tool like Talent Ticker has been proven, to help lift junior recruiters off the ground and understand why a lead is valuable. When I was a junior recruiter, I would spend ages setting up alerts around, news pieces of news information like funding rounds, for example. But when I got that information through, I didn't know how to approach them, or what to say. Congrats on the money. Can I have some, or whatever that would be? So I think access to the best toolkits like Talent Ticker can help someone by giving them that reason to call, highlighting why this piece of information is important, what it means for that business, where that business is in their journey, and then how to approach them in a consultative fashion off the back of it.
Absolutely. I think the same, Kat. I agree with you 100% there. Being able to give those new recruits and those new hires access to the best tools out there is always going to help them with getting them invested into the company. One thing that I can say is with your example as far as funding rounds, I mean, you wouldn't want your new grad to just spend hours and hours trying to look for content and research when they can easily do it through a platform like ours, let's say, rather than having them spend that time looking for content. Maybe they spend that time more on their communication style and how they're drafting their emails and how they're, conducting their calls. I think that's more beneficial than trying to do all this research that's going to take a lot more time. So I agree 100% there.
Yeah, you're spot on there. There's so much to learn as well coming into recruitment, as somebody from outside the industry. So the more time that you can give back to them to focus on, as you said, it might be how they're writing an email, it might be how they're speaking to people, whatever that is. But giving them as much time to focus on those things is only going to help them improve much faster. And making the work meaningful, why do you think that would be important to a new grad coming into the business?
I'd say because it allows them to really make an impact for the company, and allows them to understand why they're there and what they do. There's a lot of jobs out there that people just clock in and clock out, and they really are doing it for the paycheck. But with recruitment, I mean, a lot of the times what I like to think is, you're helping other individuals make a living, for their family by presenting them with the best jobs possible, and getting them into interviews. So making the work meaningful would help the employee understand what they're doing there, and how they can contribute to the company.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And as you've said, they are helping people. They're helping people to find work, particularly, the first year of the pandemic when there were so many people out of work. And then you've got your recruiters there, helping to help to put them back into positions so they can feed their families. And I think, grads can also be looking for, I suppose, mission-driven employers. They want to know the brand's mission and they want to know that they can bring that to life. So if they feel that what they are doing is actually contributing to the greater goal of the organization, and they're doing work that brings that mission forward, then I think that that's going to be something that's rewarding for them.
Absolutely.
Helping them to master their markets. So this was something else that I came up against as a young recruiter. Giving someone the skills that they need, providing them with the right training in the beginning to understand their markets and hit the ground running is it's going to give them a much better advantage than leaving them to learn on their own. When I started in tech recruitment, um, I definitely called, a number of candidates and asked them about their full stop net and their C hashtag experience, before I know, before eventually being put very abruptly in my place, by someone very short-tempered, who told me that it was actually, C# and .NET. So although we all learn from our own mistakes, and I definitely learned from mine, I think if I'd have had more access to that information early on, it would have only helped me grow faster and obviously ensured that I sounded more professional when representing the business that I worked for at the time.
Oh yeah, I mean that's it's a funny example that you gave. If I was in tech and I came across somebody that said, "Hey, are you
Yeah.
experienced in C hashtag?" I would have gone with that.
It
um,
was
I,
very embarrassing.
I think that with helping them master their markets, it also goes hand in hand with also the giving them access to the best tools. I think that being able to supply and provide those new recruits with everything that they need to learn and all the research that they can do to really hit the ground running is going to be beneficial for them because I feel like one of the things that you wouldn't want to do is get a new grad and then start them, basically failing. I think that's going to demotivate a lot of people. So being able to help them master their markets and their skills and what they're doing is going to help them just again expedite their next step to their career.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on. And then finally trusting them to do good work. I've always been a big believer that, if you don't trust somebody, then don't hire them. The results will speak for themselves in the end. I suppose, George, what's your thoughts on micromanagement?
Yeah, I mean this is a big one for me. I am not a micromanager. I don't like to micromanage and I don't like to be micromanaged. I think that trust is huge when it comes to hiring new individuals. And of course, there are times where you'll realize that when you get them on board, but giving them the ability to just kind of pave their own way in a sense and give them the ability to let them know that you can trust them is also, I guess, motivating for new grads and new hires. So, they've gone through school, they've done things in the past, which again, you cover that during the interview process. So just give them a chance to go out there and kind of spread their wings and let them do what they do. So micromanaging for me has never been great. It just for me, I've always thought to myself, well, if you're going to micromanage me, then why don't you just do the job yourself? So I would say that trusting new grads to come in and do their work is definitely going to help them when they continue on with the business.
Yeah, and if you don't micromanage someone, you give them a little bit of guidance, and then they go off and they hit that target or they achieve something, their confidence is only going to rise, isn't it? Whereas
Absolutely.
if you're breathing down their necks and you're all over their shoulder about it, and then they hit that target, they're not going to feel like it was something that they did themselves,
Right.
and they're not going to take that confidence then into it next time. So to conclude, we should hire new grads into our recruitment business because they're hungry, they're moldable, and they are a hell of a lot more affordable than experienced consultants. It's a great exercise that forces you to look inward and determine whether you need to revamp your processes. Again, it's bringing that fresh perspective into the business. And if you hire right, they could be lifelong employees that make a huge contribution to your overall growth. If you provide them, the support, the training, the development that they need, and they feel that they are trusted by your business, then they could end up staying within your company for a very, very long time. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening to us today for our best practices for hiring new grads webinar. And there will be some great content sent out to everybody that listened today. So look out for that. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.